All right, this is part of what we'll be talking about right now, the challenges in insecurity. You see, the National Assembly is making a move, calling on government to do all it can to ensure that security and normalcy is returned in parts of the country, especially in areas where abductions of students and children are taking place. I have with me here in the studio to discuss this. Gani Fani here is a lawyer as well as a social commentator. Gani, it's nice to see you.
Good morning, Mike.
Great.
Good morning, viewers.
Great. I also have with me here Dario Dufawokon. He's a journalist. Thank you very much for joining me, Dario.
Good morning, Mike.
Great. All right, let's start from the reaction of the National Assembly. We have heard some of the members of the Senate and even when the House of Rep, when they debate some of these issues, they say government is not doing enough. In fact, just in the report we heard there, some persons were even using the word incompetent when it comes to referring to what the government is doing in their own opinion. But what do you make of the National Assembly agreeing and calling that the government should declare a state of emergency, yet nothing is happening? Would it change anything what the National Assembly is doing, how they are going about it, and even their call?
To start with, shall we say the National Assembly is not part of the government? Of course, we've always been told, and it's what we all know, three arms of government. So it's like buck passing. And majority of them, are they not of the same party? What did they promise us? You see, I think, as it is said, righteousness exalts a nation. We are not righteous. It is painful that we are moving away from reality and saying the truth. It was a privilege in 1984 to be one of the journalists in those days while still working with the NTA. The theme of the broadcast of the head of state then, now our president, is moment of truth. You see, the moment of truth must come because things were like this in 1984, although that's just like a prologue now, or a dress rehearsal. We're just thinking that, oh, things couldn't get worse. We are now seeing worse scenarios unfolding. It is quite painful, it is quite frightening, and yet we say that Section 14 of the Constitution says clearly that the business of government is the security and welfare of the people. Right now, there is nowhere that people can say, or investors can be encouraged to come and invest in an atmosphere whereby you are not sure of what will happen next. I think something drastic has to be done. And one of the things that came to my mind is the fact that for every problem, there must be a fundamental one that leads to others. We are treating symptoms. Symptoms. Nobody is bold enough to say, look, we have missed our ways long ago. Let's go back to where we were coming from. We were just going along and then digging. We're in a hole. We are digging the more and we thought we were coming to the surface. I think it is high time we say the truth. The nation is at a brink. The nation, there's nobody who can travel anywhere in this country today and that could can be so bold that you get to your destination, wherever. And little thing like this happening between two traders, the whole town will get engulfed. These are signs of a failed state. Schools, everything. Will be seeing a solution to the problem.
Okay, Daryl, let's stem it from there still. The National Assembly is saying a lot. Whether they are doing a lot is something else for people to analyze, based on how they feel. But the National Assembly has the powers to make laws. In fact, we recall that all the constitutional conferences held in this country, there were calls to give them to the National Assembly because they are the constitutional body or institution that can tweak or make the law change the state of Nigeria, restructure whatever they have to restructure, whatever architecture as the case may be, they have the powers to do that. Well, but when the National Assembly is calling on the president to do this and do that and do that, what more really can they do?
Well, you will agree with me that given the kind of government we run in Nigeria, our own brand of federalism or whatever we'll call it, the presidential system, the National Assembly actually is created in our own way to talk more than do what it can do. So if you and I agree that they are talking enough, then maybe we should understand the fact that there is little or more they can actually do other than talk, given the kind of system we are running. Otherwise, you should know very well that it is the duty of the National Assembly to make laws, to suggest policies. But execution of all this lies with the presidency. So I don't think the National Assembly is actually passing the ball. Rather, I think they seem to have exhausted what they can. Up till now, for almost the same number of years, they were asking that the service chiefs be changed. And that was only done very, very recently. We are yet to even finish the process because they are just been screened by the Babajimi Benson-led committee. Now, if you take a cue from that, you will look at the issue of how our country is actually structured. Where the last time it was in Katsina State, boys were kidnapped. The governor and every other authority in that state had to wait on the president, wait on the federal government for necessary actions to be taken. Now, it is not Katsina again. It is Niger. The governor is folding his hand and waiting because he cannot even order the police commissioner in his state. Whatever idea, whatever local information, whatever community intelligence is at the disposal of the chairman of the concerned local government, at the disposal of this, the governor of the concerned state, will have to be provided, processed and sent to Abuja first, where decision will be taken, processed and sent back to the. In that process, the perpetrators of this act are buying time, and the more time they were able to buy, the worse for us. And then I've been worried about something since yesterday, and I think we are all guilty of this, including those of us in the media. We are helping these evil men to perpetuate themselves and gain more space.
How is that?
I realized that since yesterday when this news broke, we've been referring to these people as bandits.
Okay.
And gradually over the years,
what are they?
They are terrorists. When all this started, we refer to acts like this as acts of terrorism. But gradually, I suddenly realized yesterday that we have moved from calling them terrorists to calling them gunmen, and now we are addressing them in the garb of bandits. Who are bandits? Mere hoodlums. What is banditry? Some sort of violent gangsterism. This is more than people who sit down, plan, and in this process, a boy was killed according to the report, confirmed or unconfirmed. When people plan acts that terrorizes not just individuals but an entire community, eventually an entire state, is the entire nation not terrorized by this act? We are. And then we all dress them and say bandits, kidnap, haba. This is terrorism. The world is looking at us, and it is like my people in Yoruba land will say, an elder is here, I bow. They will say, that is, it is the way you address your problem that others will address it for you. We are calling this banditry. What is banditry? In people sitting down, plotting, moving into a school, cutting away boys and demanding for ransom. Is that still banditry?
Well, the point there is...
Then we need to really look at our addictions and know how they affect what is affecting us.
All right. Well, whatever we call them, my guess is just the semantics of it. All of them, whether they are bandits or herdsmen, they all carry out terrorist acts, as a case
what we call them
but
matters.
Yeah, it's all right. But
it matters a lot.
However, they have become a menace to the society right now.
And they are terrorists.
Gani, let me come to you on this. If a state of emergency is declared, as the National Assembly is urging the president to do, what would change?
Well, what will change is that you have to suspend some parts of the Constitution. Things must not be done the way they were being done before. You've seen the examples in some states where state of emergency were declared. The governor must give way. The assembly must give way to allow what looks like a martial law, in which case you take decisions quickly and without reference to all the procedures and all that. But what I'm saying in my own case is that there's already a state of emergency of a kind. When I see a military man parading the streets, mounting roadblocks, stopping people, I don't...
Something is unusual.
Yes, somebody, you don't have to tell me that there is a state of emergency. We're still running away from the provenance of this issue. There is something that predated this. I can tell you, there's a cliche in town. We say you can restructure through federalism and all that. The military, those of us who were old enough to know the events that happened in 1966, that were born before independence, will see a wide gulf of difference between what life is when there were little resources and now that there are too many resources and we are heading towards a precipice. I believe that a man should stand up and say, look, I have done something the way I ought not to have done it. A state of repentance. The military remained too long in power. They did so many things with immediate effect. It was a common saying in those days. Everything was with immediate effect. But we discovered that certain things that will never, because nature itself abhors with immediate effect. Is it possible for you to plant anything today and then repeat? Of course not. There is a gradual process. What ought to have happened is an abnormality. We clapped hands when we saw them. We thought things were okay, but they remained too long. Don't forget, apart from the Decree 34 of 1966, that dissolved the whole of the regions, there were other measures taken from one military regime to the other. You talk of old breed, new breed. People were just we were drifting here and there. To the extent today, I can tell you, we now have generals, military men in the National Assembly. They are products of the military, all of them that are there. How can any of them think and reflect? Were things like this before? Of course not. There is now a situation whereby men, ordinarily, that ought to have been copying good things, they've become endangered. People, I can tell you without equivocation, everybody that goes into politics today, they go there because of money. Most of them because they have no jobs. Most of them because they are looking for how to make money quickly. If it is service of the people, I am sure we will all have seen differences. There have been so many conferences in this country talking of state police, talking about how things could work. Nobody's talking about that.
All right.
Everything now comes from Abuja. It won't work. All these things we are seeing are symptoms. And I can tell you, whatever goes around must come around. It is now happening in Niger State. It is happening in Katsina State. It does not end there. Some people are listening and they are seeing what is going on. The earlier we go back to the drawing board.
Better.
All right. Dari, on one of the papers today, Daily Trust in particular, the headline there reads that federal government and Niger government in talks with the Kagara kidnappers. And it is also said in that report that the IG of police has said that the government knows or they know the abductors. That is what the headlines say, if that's anything to go by. And then the Minister of Defense is also saying that they will adopt the tactic used in Katsina for this boy. So we will have them back. When you hear rhetorics and statements like this, if they are true, I wonder what comes to mind when you were looking at the seriousness and what security should be.
It takes me back to what I said earlier. The treatment you can deduce from this arrangement is the treatment you give to bandits, the treatment you give to some miscreants, the approach you use when dealing with some hoodlums. But that is not what this situation is. In Katsina, you saw the drama. We had the story. 30 million, 800 million was alleged to have been spent. The end receiver got 30 million. A video was done by the middleman who procured the job for him to say, Awalu, is it true you got 800 million? Awalu said, no. How can those people behave like that? Then it means that they don't want this thing. We saw the video. Now the government came out to say, we had no ransom was paid. When the hit was much, okay, we actually had to part with some money. 800 million trickled down. Some people took their cut here, and then 30 million ended in the hands of the perpetrators. Then somewhere in Niger State, some people were watching, like my Egbon here said. He said some people are watching. These guys were watching. Head or tail, Awalu and Co got 30 million. That's not bad. Okay, they press their own buttons here and there. We can reenact the same film if we will get something in that region too. And then what is the result? What we have in our hands now. And rather than learn from the error of Katsina, the government is blatantly announcing that we will do the same thing. Then some boys in Imo or in Ogun or in Kwara will be watching to say, oh, if this will be the pattern. You will recall that sometimes ago we're talking about insurgency, and some of us were saying the idea of negotiating would only breed new insurgents. Gradually, we negotiated our way into Boko Haram. From Boko Haram, we negotiated our way into cattle rustling. From cattle rustling, settling the owners of the cattle and the stealers of the cattle. We have negotiated our ways into what we now call banditry. What is being stolen now? Human beings. Stolen, then we pay. To the question you ask, what I see when I hear all this is a nation that is comfortable with breeding criminalities. By our own action and inactions, we are daily breeding new criminals. We are giving old criminals new ideas of crimes they can commit with less stress and make more money. Right. Who tell me who will want to be an armed robber that will rob a bank for some 15 million naira at the risk of being killed, when he knows that he can just go in the middle of the night and encourage some boys to follow him away into the bush and get 30 million naira from the government? And then everybody is talking about the kidnappers behaved well, they were peaceful, and they want peace. And he will go ahead and do a video. My brother, we are breeding fresh troubles every day.
All right. We have to leave you here now because there's so much to talk about, but we wouldn't have all the time right now. But thank you very much, Dario Dufolk. I'm still going to keep you for the paper review. Ganifani, I really appreciate your coming on the program.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.